Yeah, and I loved it. Like, and at that young age, he was able to ask the right question in a brutal, blunt way that made me think or question. And right around that time, that I'm going through this thought process, he questions. He says, "¿Qué si hacemos esto?" Like, I make a deal with you. I was gonna pay medical school for you. That was the deal. And I said, yes, don't be chickening out of it. Like, that's the deal. So I pay medical school for you, but what if I give you half right now in inventory and you open a store?
Welcome to the RG Vision Podcast. I'm Gabe Puente, your host. We're here bringing you stories of the Rio Grande Valley, about people here in the Rio Grande Valley that are local stakeholders, entrepreneurs, local leaders, educational leaders, people in the healthcare industry, every stakeholder that has invested in the Rio Grande Valley, that is interested in the growth of our region. We're sitting in with them. Here we go. Welcome. This is the RG Vision Podcast. And so just before we start, if you don't mind just introducing yourselves.
Hello, I'm Ricardo Portillo from Portillo Jewelers.
And I am Denise Gano Portillo, also from Portillo Jewelers.
That we had such an amazing conversation about how y'all met, and when you were talking about sitting, being on the floor, and the memory you have as far as when it comes to even people who are looking to either get engagement rings or looking at certain products, remembering those details about that and then delivering that years later was pretty fascinating to me. Is that something that came natural, or talk to me about the beginning? How did Portillo Jewelers start? And how did that, level of customer service, where did that come from?
That's, wow, good question. Cliche answer on my part right now, but it was something that I wanted to avoid at all costs growing up. I saw how hard my parents worked. They had a jewelry store in downtown Brownsville. My mom was a nurse. My dad opened a jewelry store. It started doing well. Small downtown jewelry store, two showcases with silver and gold filled jewelry, nothing extravagant. But it did fairly well, enough that my mom could quit her nursing job and come and work with my dad full time. Mm-hmm. And that put me through school, through elementary, junior high, high school. Well, junior high and high school, because I was in junior high when the store opened. But
you wanted to avoid it.
I wanted to avoid it. They worked very long hours every single day. Yeah. Sundays were the only real day off, but during the holidays, they still worked Sundays. Yeah. And I thought, man, they work a lot. They must be working dumb, it's
they're doing life wrong. Something's going on here.
They don't know what's up.
Yeah.
I'm going to show them. I'm way smarter, way more capable. I'm going to become a doctor. I'm going to do something where I actually have a life. So the naivety of a young adolescent, right? That I'm going to become a doctor so I have more of a life. Right?
Yeah.
So fast forward, I graduate from Baylor University with a bachelor's in neuroscience. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a neurologist. I felt that was the cutting edge in the medical field. Mm-hmm. And I graduated in 3 years under the assumption that I was going to be going to school for 12 to 15 years, right? Mm-hmm. So I fast-tracked it, finished in 3. I had about 8 months to kill before I could get into medical school. Mm-hmm. And so I come back and I say, you know what? I'm a good son. I'm going to come back and help the family. Mind you, I never lacked of ego.
Right.
So especially at that age, I'm thinking, man, I deserve the Nobel Prize for
being the best
being
son,
in
the world.
So I come, mind you, obviously they gave me everything, right? So I'm coming back and let me pay the piper. So I come back and I say, I'm going to help you all out. There's a lot of things you are doing wrong here in the business, and I'm going to help. And so. Yeah. I try to incorporate a computer system, a point of sale system.
How many stores did they have at that time?
Oh, just one.
Which is the one in Brownsville?
The one in Brownsville,
okay.
Yeah. Downtown Brownsville. And so I come back, I work for a few months, 3 months. literally, like, if it was more than 3, I had worked the store, like, all through high school.
Yeah.
Summers, to avoid working at the store, I would enroll in school for the summers.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to graduate in 3 years instead of 4. So, but any free time, the idea was like, well, you're the man of the household.
Yeah.
You have to work. So I would work, and I came back. My dad saw potential. My mom was impressed at how, like, the ease with which I grasped the business concept, how things run, how, like, I don't know that now that I'm older, I appreciate what the excitement was on their end, because that's not something that you see often, right? Like, to have a firm grasp of the whole kit and caboodle, not just one track minded, not just sales, not just operation, not just inventory management, like the numbers, the creative, the people skill, like all in general. So, but they never pushed, they never asked anything. But my dad sees that I was still dead set on like the medical school.
Yeah.
And so he tells me, mijito, ¿qué si hacemos algo? Why do you want to become a doctor? And I said, well, because it's what I've always wanted to do. I want to save lives. It's like, it's a noble profession. I said, no. Dime la verdad. I'm asking you.
Yeah.
No one is here. There's no camera. Well, there's cameras. But,
The impression is
yeah.
spot on.
yeah,
Spot on.
there's no cameras. To you, mijito. Like, why? Well, it's just like I said, no. You don't have to tell me, but you answer to you. And I was like, okay. And I'm looking at him like, is he serious or not? And he says, look, you think what you think, but es porque es chingón, ¿verdad? And I was like, well, yeah. Y porque te va a decir la gente, Dr. Portillo, y Dr. this, y Dr. that. And I said, well, yeah. And he says,
who wouldn't want that?
right, exactly. And he says, pero you can be chingón doing anything else that you do.
Yeah.
You don't need to have the doctor. You can be Mr. Portillo. And I was like, this guy, like, I hadn't actually really thought of it that way. Like, the first time ever in my life that someone put that thought in my mind was at that point. And it got me thinking. Like, it really got me thinking. So a few weeks go by, and he brings this topic up again. And it's not like I can remember in two hands the number of times we've had those serious type of conversations, or that I've had, que en paz descanse, like, my dad's not around, but, like, we would always talk, we were always friendly, we always, like, had a very close bond, but serious, life-changing, altering talks.
Because those questions get down to the root and core of who you are as a human being. And it's like, to his point, it's like, hey, you're not doing this for anybody else. Like, what is going to truly make you happy down to the root?
Right.
And you are who you are. You're not a title, and you're not this, but what is going to make you happy? That's
And I loved it. Like, and at that young age, he was able to ask the right question in a brutal, blunt way that made me think or question. And right around that time that I'm going through this thought process, he questions. He says, ¿Qué si hacemos esto? Like, I make a deal with you. I was gonna pay medical school for you. That was the deal. And I said, yes, don't be chickening out of it. Like, that's the deal. So I pay medical school for you, but what if I give you half right now in inventory and you open a store? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he says, yes, you do it for you. And, so, like, I jumped ahead of myself very quickly, because I remember telling him, well, you need to do this at the store. You all don't do this, you do that. And I'm pointing out all the things that they needed addressed in their business because they're not doing it. And he says, oh, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. And I said, well, okay, like, let me do it. I'm going to, no. Yeah. You do it. And I said, well, I know you're not, no, you don't get it. You do it. Usted es el chingón.
You do it.
Show you that. Yo soy el pendejo, mijito. You show me. You go do it.
Yeah.
You show me.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing it all perfect, mira, si funcionó. Okay, then I do it.
Yeah.
and I follow you.
Yeah.
But you do it. You don't come and shit on me.
Yeah.
You don't come
Yeah.
and shit on what your
Yeah.
mom and I have built.
It's like decades.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, yeah, I can do that. So then fast forward, he comes up and he says, okay, well, so here's the deal. And I thought, I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So then I started doing my number math. 21, I was about to turn 22, or I had just turned 22. And I said, okay, I'll make a deal with you. Average age to get into medical school was 24, 25, right? So I was way ahead of the curve. I was going to be like a Doogie Howser if I had gone in. If I had gone in that. I mean, not really, but yeah. So I was like, I'm playing. I've borrowed time. Yeah. So then I said, I'll make a deal with you. If we can find a place to open up before it's time to enter medical school, like before like the fall entry time, then I'm yours. I'm yours for 2 years.
Yeah.
Guaranteed 2 years. Because in 2 years, I'll be 24.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the average age of medical school. So,
So
I'm
you can
good.
either,
Right.
have
And at
options.
that time, the business is going to be running, pumping out money left and right that it's going to pay for my medical school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the plan. Like, okay. In less than 30 days, we had a lease agreement with Simon Property at Valle Vista Mall in Harlingen.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Like, I worked 24/7, literally 24/7, because there was not a single moment of the day that I didn't think of work. So mall hours, the mall's only closed on Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, and Easter. So 3 days off for 2 years. Every other day I was there at work, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 2.5 years. A lot of work. Mm-hmm. And so 5 years go by, and my dad asked me again, bueno, ¿y qué pasó? Like, what happened to medical school? No que muy chingón que you were gonna...
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? No, I still have a lot to... Like, I still haven't done this. We haven't done this. Like I had already started selling diamond jewelry. That was not part of the formula that Portillo Jewelry had in Brownsville.
So go back. What was it that they weren't doing that you noticed that I can come in and change and implement?
We didn't sell diamond jewelry. Like diamond jewelry it was not part of the product mix. Let
me ask this question. What was it that your dad was like, okay, well, you think you're, Mr. Big Shot, you have all the answers. Like,
yeah.
What was it that you told them that they were doing wrong, or what they
weren't
needed
they
to do
not
better?
utilizing like computer systems?
No computer system. It was like pen and paper, like those little carbon copy pads.
Yeah.
And even for layaways, so they would write down a payment, subtract the amount, write down the date that they're giving it, and draw a line, and then the balance. And there would be a running tally, and they would write it on the customer's paper also. And it would go back and forth.
So was technology kind of a scary thing?
I don't know that it was.
Or was it the investment, the upfront cost of it?
Back then, because tech existed, and there was point-of-sale software out there that could handle this stuff. But it was just not... It wasn't necessary. The mindset, if something ain't broke, why fix it? Yeah. And it worked perfectly well. Like, even now, to this day, there are a lot of procedures or standard operating procedures that still are more reliable with pen and paper than tech. Some people just still prefer that.
Yeah.
So a lot, that was the main trend. The main transition was that. Also the idea behind what we're offering our customers. So coming from like the service model that I had in mind was a little bit more, what is it, like a corporate? So like not just a mom and pop mentality. So I wanted to take the good, all the awesome things of mom and pop, like very personable, like, oh, we're gonna go see, and so you remember the customer with their kids, and you had little candies for the kids, or like, I love that part, but there was no way of tracking and documenting that transaction, but pen and paper, so you could never run reports or history unless you remembered everything that you wrote on pen and paper. So I felt that if we were going to grow, or if a business was going to grow, you had to find a way to measure these things, or at least quantify it, right?
So it was going from like a mom and pop jewelry store to maybe even into a luxury brand.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Now you're using terms that did not exist in my lexicon, right?
Yeah.
That's all my wife. So fast forward, like we'll jump over, fast forward to
Because that's still maintained in Harlingen, right? It was when you started in Harlingen, what was the biggest challenge that you faced the first year that you started in Harlingen? From what you remember.
What year was it?
That was 1998. Yeah. How old were you?
In 1998, 15? I was a freshman, maybe, a sophomore in high school.
So it's 1998. Just the reality that you didn't know, that I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I think I know everything, right? But
as like all 20, young 20-year-olds,
yeah,
they know everything.
Like I had, and I don't want to say cocky, arrogant. Those are probably accurate if you're looking from the outside in, but if you're looking from the inside out, the way I saw myself, it was just like, no, like secure, confident. Like I know, like nothing that life throws at me, I can't handle. Like I'm gonna be able to handle whatever. Like that's a testament to my parents, I imagine, to my upbringing, the values, the core values that were given to me. Like I just grew up thinking that. So when I'm 22, graduate from Baylor with a neuroscience degree, like what can I not do? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And running a business, I had no training in business. Like there was no business school that I went to. But it was all like and still this formula still works to this day, still works. You want to learn how to better serve your customer that ultimately feeds you? Ask them. Pay attention to what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Pay attention, like get feedback. Be receptive to that feedback. Be willing to hear the bad news. Be willing to hear negative feedback.
Yeah.
And make adjustments to that. Address that so that then you don't make those mistakes in the future. But it's a constant, every single day we're saying this, the little things. I think now that I'm older, I realize why, and you can ask all the people that have ever worked for me or with me, right? All of them. You can ask every single one of them how I make such a big deal about the little things. And whenever it's a big thing that happens, cool as a cucumber, it's not a big deal. We can handle it. We can fix it. Like that was never an issue, handling the big things. But if I don't make a big deal out of the little things, that's when the big things happen. The big problems arise, or you lose a lot of the potential customer base that you have. Because you let these little things. So it's like that little thread in your clothing. It's like a tiny little thread, and if you don't nip it or clip it right away, it starts getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I think in life, in the years that I've been in business, I've realized just innately, I don't know that I ever listened or read it or learned it in school. It's just experience teaches you that. Like you gotta address them immediately.
Yeah. So in Harlingen, I don't know, we want to fast forward where Denise comes in the picture. We heard about that story. So, Denise, talk about, what was Portillo Jewelers like, and then how did it get to where it is today? Because we talked about, going from where it was to a luxury brand, right? Was that something that was incorporated and some of y'all were intentionally about?
It was extremely intentional. I think that when I first started really wholeheartedly, like in the business, I had spent so much time seeing the behind the scenes stuff, the amount of time that he would put into everything, the time that he spends with every customer, really the quality of the product, knowing that every single diamond, every single piece is literally like he touches everything. Like there's not anything in the jewelry store that he has not seen and been like, oh, that's good. No, I don't want this, send this back. He's on top of everything. And so I felt like, and he's very creative, right? But the direction from a marketing perspective, everything was like, oh, well, we're going to discount this to get people to come into the door. And that, I guess, probably worked for a while, but I felt like he was underselling himself.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you tell someone, oh, well, come in because everything is, up to 75% off, like that doesn't really give a lot of value, I think, to a brand in general. I felt like, you know what? If you're going to really sell yourself, and people need to know that you're worth so much more. And so you're welcome. No, I mean, there's just, he was undervaluing himself so much. And I could see that. But I think when you're so in it, he didn't see it. And I was like, you know what? Will you just trust me to kind of run with this? And he was like, all right, cool. Probably like the least expensive marketing person you've ever had. So I feel like I work for free.
Or the most expensive.
I can see both sides because, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you want to sometimes you just want to give stuff away.
Yeah.
Right? Because, why not?
Right.
But at the same time, you could hurt your brand by doing that.
Well, I feel like if you don't see your value, other people are not going to see your value. And so you have to really, you have to drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, right? Like you have to believe that this is the best, this is super high quality. This is, you get, I hate to say like, oh, we have great customer service, because I feel like people, you don't have to say it. Like people will know if you actually do, right?
Yeah. And there's a model that somebody had said, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
100%.
And I know that you could potentially discount stuff and you'd be okay, but at the same time, from a marketing perspective, you shouldn't do that.
Well, and it's not to say we don't discount things, but it was never like there was a point where it was like, this is not what we're using to get people in the door. Like we need to take a look at this and see how we can change it so that people understand why they should be coming here. And it's not because, this is super on sale. It's because this is a great product, and come in here and we'll show you why.
Yeah. And then, so there's total of 3?
2 currently.
2 currently. Because there was Harlingen, now there was McAllen. We're at so talk about that transition. Walk me through, from Harlingen.
The Brownsville that my parents had, eventually, as they got a little bit older, my dad retired, he closed the Brownsville store. I had already made a life up here with Denise in McAllen. I didn't want to spread myself out too thin and keep running a Brownsville location that was, I know an hour is not a lot, but we put a lot of time and energy into each operation that you can't. And I realized what my Peter principle was. Like my topping off point, I still had not mastered the ability to manage more than 2 locations at the same time. So there was a time when we had 3 stores. There was a time when I had a watch store at the mall in Harlingen called Roman Times. Just because the place that we rented to put that store in had like columns, like Roman columns. Yeah. So I said, I'm going to call it Roman Times. That's a good. Yeah. So I'm creative, right? Anyway.
Yes, you are.
Yes, thank you.
Are.
So, and then that worked for a while, but it was just, again, making like the tough choices, the decisions. Like it's not about opening up a bunch of different stores the way I had perceived growth to be. It became more of a vertical integration, getting into the sourcing, the manufacturing, the in-house full marketing and brand development, which is what we are now. And the reason we added a second McAllen location was to better serve our existing customer base and make it more convenient for them, and to have a slightly larger, more comfortable space where we're not fighting tooth and nail for square footage in the mall, which we still have the mall store. We're very happy with it, but we have an added benefit to customers in the area. that can go in, like we have that little bar.
Entertainment
yeah,
area.
the entertainment area,
Yeah.
which is
So-
pretty amazing, and it's all about the experience. People
Right.
are going to go there as a destination, and you're not really heavily dependent on like foot traffic, from a
Right.
mall, because that's the brand, like
Yeah.
that's what you
Right.
want people to do. So that's pretty fascinating. So how long did it take to realize that? Is that like Denise, you're like, this is what we're gonna do? How was that conversation?
Working together,
Yeah,
we love it.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean-
but honestly, how difficult was it to shift? Because it's going from one mindset, the way you fully operate, knowing what you know, and then it's somewhat a transition. It's almost like a shift, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Like I saw my wife's potential from that first meeting that we had, where she was not even a person that I thought I was gonna be dating. Like literally just a work meeting, and she starts picking my brain. And I thought, well, I thought you were here to present me with a proposal. And she said, well, yes, but I can't truly present an advertising plan for you if I don't know anything about your business other than what I've heard. But I need to pick your brain. So she starts asking me like very interesting, specific questions. And for the first time ever in my life, had someone ask me, so what is it that you do specifically? Oh, well, we sell jewelry. I was like, no, but specifically. And I was like, well, like diamond jewelry. It's like, okay. And so who's your target market? And I was like, well, everyone. It's for every generation. That was my slogan, every generation. Like I can help every generation.
Yeah.
And she's like,
That means nobody.
okay, yeah. I didn't know this. Like I thought I was genius in marketing, but apparently not. And so she tells me, let me ask you differently then. What do you sell the most of? And I said, okay, diamond rings. Okay, and specifically what kind of diamond rings? Well, like more white gold than yellow at the time, right?
Right.
Okay, and for what purpose? I was like, well, let me see. It's engagements and weddings and anniversaries. Okay, but what do you sell the most of? I was like, well, engagement rings. So would you say then that you're like an expert at selling those? Well, yeah, we're pretty good at like, yeah. So then you could say that you're maybe like the engagement ring expert?
I had to find a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is going to be your thing. And 13 years later, it's
Yes.
still the thing, right?
Yes.
Like we haven't,
Like
maybe,
that.
I don't even know if I want to
I had to marry her.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
I was like, yeah, this girl's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it, like, and literally had been doing I've been doing what I've been doing for over 25 years. More if you think of the time I worked when I was in high school and helping the parents for so long. But not until I got married, not until I had a good working relationship with my wife, did the business actually start growing. I don't want to say by leaps and bounds, right? But significant growth. Significant growth
Yeah.
took place after we started working as a team.
Yeah.
After I literally get, and I tell her this all the time. I say, love, I gave you the part of the business that I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
The marketing side of business. That is the only thing that gave me pleasure. And she looks at me like, really? That's the only thing that... No, you don't understand. That's where I could be creative. That's where that I actually enjoyed doing. That was the fun part.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that's the only thing you want to do. And so now you do that. And I'm here stuck doing all the other stuff, the operational stuff, the inventory stuff, the
I feel like it's
personnel.
important to like play towards your strengths though. And he does that very, very well. And so now he lets me do what I do very well, and it works.
Yeah.
Like
She
everybody
does it
has
very, very well.
everybody has a role. We're both moving in the same direction. We know what the goal is, right? And so, he does what he does, I do what I do, and it just works well together.
I'm sure there's been challenges, what advice would you give to, other, couples who are actually running their business? Because there are a few. Me personally, I know Carla would hate to work. She was like, would you ever come work? And she was like, no, I can't stand. I wouldn't.
Right.
But what is it that y'all did that, is there anything y'all did that really made things a lot smoother? Or what advice would you give anybody?
What would I say?
Yes.
Oh man, that is a good question. I think that we're always very respectful of each other. I think it starts there and everything kind of trickles down after that. He knows what I expect of him. I know what he expects of me. There's boundaries. So when we're at the store, we are coworkers. And I don't really, I'm not like, oh, well, you can't talk to me like that because I'm your wife. It's very professional. And then we're at home. We leave, for the most part, work at home. Occasionally we'll have work conversations. How can we do this? How can we make this better? But the roles are defined. It's clear. And I think it's just a respect thing. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I think that is, it's very important to respect primarily, especially I can speak as a man, right? Like for men, that is very important. And it's not just in a work relationship, in marriage. Yeah. Even in marriage, every single marriage that I know, for the man, it is very important, that respect. Yeah. I think obviously the same with the women, but with women it's a little bit more of like affirmation, encouragement, like attention, like, hey, good job, baby. Like, I noticed that. And if I forget, because I'm tied up with a bunch of other things, to comment or compliment something that she did well, she will have like a, I don't want to say pouty, right? It's not pouty, but it's like...
So we're love language people.
Yes.
And like the way that I like to be shown love is words of affirmation. Like, that's if I've done something good, you need to tell me that I've done something good. Because I know that I did it, but like, did you notice it? Like,
Yeah. And my initial mindset was like, well, if I didn't make a comment about it, that means it was done right.
Yeah.
Like, if there was no need for me to address it, that means you did it's what you were supposed to do. Like, I don't need it. Well, again, like, this was the old me, right?
Yeah.
The new me.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, because I know I have a problem of digressing and not answering the specific question.
Well, it sounds like it's open communication, respect,
Yes.
and being very transparent. And even, as couples, because I go back, and I didn't realize it until I actually had my first child with Carla, my wife. There's a great book I recommend it for anybody. It's called Baby Wise. Anybody who's looking to have a baby, do it. Well, a lot of wonderful nuggets in that book, but one of the things which y'all are speaking to is what we had to do, which was in preparation to having, a little human in our lives, was write down a list of what y'all are going to be responsible for. It's basically understanding the roles and responsibilities. It said, take that list.
Yeah.
Carly, you're responsible for X, Y, and Z. And Gabe, you're take the dog out, you're gonna throw the trash, you're gonna do that, blah, blah, blah. And that was a long list. And it sounded kind of like funny and weird at the time, but we put it up on the refrigerator, and then whenever the baby came, as you can imagine, it's very taxing on both entities, but whenever somebody's wondering, it's like, oh gosh, what are they doing all day? Like, what? And then they go back to the fridge like, oh, I remember they have all this stuff that they're supposed to be doing. And so there's a little bit of grace that's given there as well. But, you apply that to what you're all talking about here is clearly defining the roles and responsibilities, leaning on your strengths, and making sure that y'all communicate as, okay, look, this is your strength, this is what you're going to be responsible for, and then this is what you're going to be responsible for. Let's make this happen, right? And then obviously there's like every month, let's like collaborate, figure out, okay, how's this working? That communication sounds like y'all have done that very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And learn about each other. Like, I want to know more about how my wife works, and then she's always looking to see how I work.
Yeah.
And understanding that, like wanting to understand it. Like, the second you quit wanting to understand, wanting to learn about them, is when you start seeing the needle go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Like, you start working against each other, not with each other.
Yeah.
So that partnership, like, we've managed to make it work very well for both our marriage and our business.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we don't have disagreements. That doesn't mean we don't what is it? We joke about this in some talks that we give, but we joke about it and say, I don't like you right now. I love you, baby. I love you. That's not gonna go away, but oh my goodness, you are not on my, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And those two things can mutually exist. You can love someone and really like be bothered and upset and irked by that person at the same time. And sometimes we forget that a marriage is not dissimilar to a working relationship and business partnership. Like you're if you're at work and you have people that you work with, that's like another relationship that you're working with.
Yeah, 100%.
And so you
people who
both
own a
gotta work
business
it.
together.
Yeah.
It's a marriage.
Yeah.
And y'all got to be on the same page.
There is a comedian that we reference. I want to say it was Chris Rock. And
Okay.
he has a little skit that he does about how, marriage is like being in a band. Like there's not two lead guitarists, right? You got the lead guitarist and then you got the person that is going to be playing the tambourine. And sometimes in a marriage or in a working relationship, you're the lead guitarist and, the other person is playing the tambourine and they're helping you out. But sometimes they got to be the guitarist and you have to be playing the tambourine. And I think that when you have a good relationship, you can see those moments where it's like, oh man, you know what? I'm gonna let him play the tambourine today. I'm gonna step it up, and vice versa. But I feel like when you really know the other person well, you can tell. Like, you know what? I'm gonna take this off their plate, or how can I help them, or what are they struggling with today?
Right. Like what can I do?
What can I do?
Yeah. Yep. So y'all have a wonderful, and I was able to visit the store, and thank you for the tour, and it was amazing. So talk about what can people look forward to with Portillo Jewelers, and talk about the new location and what y'all are doing with that.
Well, let's see. You take the lead, baby. You be the lead guitarist on this one.
You gonna tambourine?
Yes.
Right.
I'll be playing your tambourine.
Thank you. I think with the new location, the idea was just to make it an experience, right? So you walk in and it's, it smells amazing. It looks so beautiful. The quality of all of the items that we have there are it's absolutely exquisite. We want people to come in. We want them to take their time. We do the champagne. We give the tour. What are you looking for? If we know that you're coming in looking for something very specific, we'll curate a selection. We take you to the VIP room. Hey, you said you were looking for this. How about, these separate little items? It's very personable. It's a very chill vibe, and that's the idea, right? We want it to be, it's not hustle bustle. You're not in there, in and out. I like to joke that if you're coming in to see Rick, like you can't do it in 5 minutes. Like you got to set off like at least an hour, right? Because it's true. Like, it's absolutely true. Like you're going to go in there and it's not just, it's not transactional, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're going to learn about what you're looking for, why you're looking for that, and then to curate a whole experience around that specifically. So we definitely have the space for it. We're looking to do a lot more events. I think that the space really lends itself to that as well. So we have a Galentine's event coming up. We're looking to do like a men's whiskey tasting event. So fun, different things. We have the space for it. I think that it's just going to kind of grow from here. The reaction that we've gotten to the new location has been phenomenal. We do still have the mall location, right? So we have these two locations to serve you, whether you're on the north side, whether you're on the south side. You can expect the same level of expertise. You can expect the same level of service at either location. It's just been such a blessing to be able to offer people options.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
So, and thank you again for your time coming in. What else? Is there anything else that maybe y'all want to discuss or talk about before we kind of sign off?
Well, our strength has always been listening to our customers, right? Our growth is because of that. It's primarily due to that. Like
100%.
Being like having our finger on the pulse. And so the feedback is actually what dictates the direction of our business, and we're able to fill a niche, like fill in the gaps, whatever's missing in the market. And I'm very progressive and proactive and tech savvy and always pushing the needle, like I have my foot on the accelerator at all times. So we love to bring stuff to the valley, to the jewelry industry that isn't seen elsewhere. Our production time or lead time in production, like a custom job, like manufactured custom job, we're able to cut it down. This holiday season, we performed a couple of miracles, but production time of like 6.5 days to manufacture 3 diamond necklaces, like custom completely from a figment of someone's imagination to like delivered in person. Now, I mean, don't expect that all the time, right? But that's something that people have absolutely no idea that can be done. And let alone someone in McAllen, Texas. An operation out of McAllen, Texas can perform and do something that outfits in New York City in the middle of the jewelry market can't manufacture for you that quickly with that amount of quality. So the side note of the point I would like to make is that we want to keep pushing that envelope. We want to keep pushing that needle, like pushing it forward. So we're in the process of completely integrating vertically. We're working on larger projects of manufacturing jewelry pieces for organizations. We're manufacturing production run of one item, one customized item for one customer, and that's gonna be delivered to you in a relatively quick time frame. Or we can generate large production runs for X number of quantity that you need, and that can also be delivered in that same time frame, which is, again, I'm probably nerding out on you here. I grew up in the industry
because you're going really deep on the customer loyal base that you already have,
right?
And it's just getting them. And I'm totally fine with you nerding out because I'm nerding out with you because it is a totally different model, but you're going deep.
Oh yeah,
you're going, and it's not you're not spreading it out, but you're going deep and really serving the customers that you have and listening to them,
right?
And that's allowed you to go into those different and understanding what they're looking for, which I'm fascinated by because not a lot of people do that. And so that's why I do really appreciate the model, what you built also in the brand and the vision behind what y'all done in that new store. Because it's not, you're not, I can see, yes, it would be great with traffic, but that's ultimately there for the current customers you have, for them to come in and spend hours so you can figure out what it is that they need.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. We love it. And I had to find a new passion that my wife took my marketing away from me. So now I'm into production.
I feel like it's working out though.
Yeah. No. Definitely. Like I'm able to.
We were doing more design stuff now.
Yeah. A lot of CAD designs. Like it's just. Right, I'm enjoying. Yeah. I'm enjoying this.
You're the R&D now.
You're
R&D. Okay, leave the marketing to her.
Yeah.
So,
Elon Musk is probably going to call me and ask me for pointers.
Well, so how can people find you? Where can they follow you? Website, plug in all that.
Find us on Instagram at Portillo Jewelers for sure. We're real good about getting back to messages. It's generally me that you're talking to, so I feel like we have like a nice one-on-one relationship. It's served us so well through COVID, and even now that's kind of our primary source.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can find us also on our website. We're going to revamp it, do a little bit better job of it, but it's functional right now. Google us, and then we have a store line that we can text through. I find that our way of communicating with customers through text messaging is very effective. It allows us to provide a more personalized and immediate attention. So we can text images, text information back and forth.
Well, I feel like nobody likes getting. Do you like talking on the phone?
I mean,
we went over this.
We did.
Yes.
You are a
So
phone
old
talker.
school.
No, we're text people.
I mean, I'm older.
We're
not.
texters.
I think the millennials. I think you're a millennial.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The millennials.
I'm like, don't call me ever. Just send me a message.
Oh my God, why is somebody calling me? That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we like texting.
I don't mind. Yeah,
I do.
I have to ask. I mean, you sometimes have to ask. I ask people. It's like, what's the best form of communication?
What do you prefer?
Text, email. He was like, yeah, whatever. It just really depends. So I like asking, but
Yep.
Well, thanks again, y'all, for coming.
Oh, thank you.
It was a good
Thank
conversation.
you for having us.
I'm glad we're able to.
I feel like I'm an NPR.
Oh yeah. I'm glad we're able to talk about this. Like I enjoyed sharing what my wife does with the world. Like she's our, and just a testament to my wife. Like I was wanting to get this out earlier. Like I've been doing what I've been doing for so long, and even though it sometimes feels like the same thing over and over again, it's such a dynamic process that you fine tune it little by little. But I had been doing what I've been doing for so long, and it's not until my wife genuinely and actively got involved that we were able to take the business to the next level.
Yeah.
And anyone that's listening, if they got this far, I would like to share that if you are blessed enough to find a partner, like a soul partner, a life partner, like I have been, the ride is good. Like it is more fulfilling. It involves trust and faith and a lot of other things, but for the most part, it's such a rewarding like experience, and then you're able to grow together. I don't know. It was surprising to me.
Yeah.
Like I guess the idea was that I had been doing what I've been doing for so long on my own,
Just by yourself, yeah.
and like
to share it with somebody is a fulfill. It's
and then for
definitely
that
fulfilling.
person that you're sharing with is not just taking but giving. Wow, like that's
Yeah.
And so then you can, I don't know. There's
Because y'all are birthing another baby.
yeah,
100%.
Basically what
Pretty
it is.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the new Stormy Cal.
a big baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the other baby. We have a daughter, Sophie Bella. She's 9.
Yeah.
And my wife says she has 2 kids, 9-year-old and a 48-year-old.
I do.
Yeah, Carl says the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, y'all.